Well, welcome to the show. This is Ask the Cheeseman, where you can ask all of your cheesy questions about all things home cheese making. Now, before we start, can I get a sound check from somebody, please? And then we'll kick the show off. Hello, Geordie. How are you? Is all good, Kim? Thank you very much. Is it Haytham? Is that how you pronounce it? 5 out of 5. Fantastic. Okay, now I'm not sure how many are watching. I can't see that on my dashboard at the moment. Not much going on. Art, how are you? Sound is good. Fantastic. Let's kick the show off, shall we? Oh, Kevin.
Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds.
Well, g'day, curd nerds.
Well, g'day, curd nerds.
Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, there we are. Welcome, like I said, welcome to another Ask the Cheeseman, where you can ask all of your questions about home cheese making. None too hard. If they are too hard, I'll go and research them and we'll talk about them next show. I have had experience in making cheese at home here since 2009, as I was reminded the other day by one of my customers / fans, which is a good thing. So we've got, Captain Nibley, I changed my name, Dustin, Bill, hello Bill, and Peeps Mexican. Let's keep this cheesy, indeed. Now, just a couple of things before we start. Don't forget that if the chat gets a bit out of control, I will preference super chats. So you can do super chats, a little dollar sign down here, and that will come straight up to the top, the top over there, and I will see that straight away and preference those questions because you paid for it. So I think it's as little as $2 US. Pocket money, or as they say, less than a cup of coffee. That's my first cup for the day. I did find a really good cheese making book the other day, and I'll just show that. Oh, there we are. So it's Mastering Basic Cheese Making by Giannis Caldwell, and it is quite good. It's set out in lessons from the easiest cheese up to a more difficult cheese like cheddar, this one, all the way starts at whole milk ricotta and that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Good little book. You can get that. I'll put an Amazon affiliate link in the show notes, in the description below. Also, we have these available in our store. We've got a limited stock, and they've proved to be quite popular. They're selling out quite quickly. Kim's actually ordered some more in last night. So, great little book. Colour, somewhere. Where is it? All about the equipment. So, yeah, full of photos. Very good little book. Like I said, Mastering Basic Cheese Making by Giannis Caldwell. A very good little book. So check that out. Thanks, Cap. Appreciate it. There's no question, but I appreciate the donation nonetheless. Okay, so let's get into the question, shall we? So we've got the first question from Paul. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hey, how's your wife dealing with all the cheeses in the home? Did she ever say, Gavin, it's too much, please stop making them? Well, I'd actually prefer Kim to answer it, and she's on the chat there somewhere. But I would say Kim's a bit of a cheese addict, if there's such a thing. And she really enjoys tasting all of the cheeses that I create. And you can never have enough cheese. Yeah, it's pretty cool that she likes all of the cheesy creations that I get. So, Yeah, the answer to that question is there's never too much cheese. Don't stop making it. The only time she complains is when the cheese cave gets a bit smelly with some of the washed rind cheeses, which is a pretty good segue actually. I've got a video clip. It goes for about 4 minutes, and it's about when cheese fails, because this show's all about well, it's about troubleshooting. It's answering your questions of when things don't go quite right. So I did a video, and it's in the archive, but I'll show it now. And it's called When Cheese Fails. So it's all of the, well, not all of them, quite a few of the cheeses that have failed, and what I did with them after, how I recovered them, or if I ate them or gave them to the chooks. Chooks are chickens, for those who are not Australian. Anyway, so let's just play that now for a sec, and then I'll get into some of your other questions. Now I've shown you all of my successes, but today I thought, well, because people have been asking, what happens when cheese fails and why does it fail? So let me step you through a few of my cheese failures. Neglected Stilton. Well, this Stilton was not turned and it had a lack of oxygen. So this is what happened. I left it in the back of the fridge. I was ill at the time, so I forgot to turn it. And this is what I did to rescue it. So I scraped all the blue off. That made a very nice blue cheese sauce. And this is what I ended up with, about 1/5 of the size I had. Unholy Emmental. So when you make a cheese that has holes or eye formation, don't vacuum pack it, because this is what happens. You don't get any eye formation. It needs to expand. It needs to be left at room temperature for the period of maturation. So these are mechanical holes. That's what happens. Bloaty Parmesan. So this Parmesan was made with milk of dubious quality, and it puffed up, it bloated up. So it might have had a bacterial infection as well. So to rescue it, we basically grated it with a fine grater and made some basil pesto out of it. A great way to recover. Cracked Drunken Cow. Well, this was a drunken cow cheese I made. I had marinated the cheese in red wine, and for some reason it cracked, and it cracked everywhere. I think I used too much rennet, and I didn't cut the curd small enough. But it did taste delicious. Flattened Havarti. Well, this Havarti came out of the press okay, but it was a bit soft. I should have pressed it for at least another 6 hours. And during its maturation time, something funny happened. And what happened? It flattened, and it started to touch the sides of the maturation box. However, it did turn out to be quite a good cheese, but it needed further pressing. Broken Brie. Well, this was my first attempt at a brie. Now, what happened was I didn't use enough milk, so I only used 4 litres of milk, and it was quite flat. And I found that when I was turning it, it kept moving all the time, and therefore it came and had a big crack. So when I came to look at it, yes, the Penicillium candidum had formed around the sides, but it had a massive crack in the middle, as you can see there, and it didn't form properly. However, it was very edible, and what we did to save it, I tasted it. It was very nice. It was quite a sharp little cheese, but the paste on the outside was great. So basically what I did from there, after I had a taste test and gave some to my lovely wife Kim, she said save it, so I basically wrapped it in aluminium foil and just stored that into the normal refrigerator, and we'll use that as a spread on toast. Not so Forme d'Ambert. So this Forme d'Ambert is a cheese that I'm currently working on, and it's been a while now, and it should have blue mold all over it, but guess what, it doesn't. And that's because, yes, I have been neglecting this one a little bit, and it needs more oxygen, and there was far too much moisture in the bottom of the maturation box. So this is what it looks like. It's got a lot more Penicillium candidum than it does Penicillium roqueforti. and it is blooming on the outside of the cheese. Now it's too moist, I figured. So what I'm going to do is put it into a different maturation box, which instead of having a plastic mat on the bottom is going to have sushi mat or a bamboo mat. So we're just going to pop that onto there. And we've got a lot more room now, and I've put it into a different maturation container, and I've allowed a little bit of air to get in. So I've cracked the lid so it's not completely sealed. Hopefully we'll get a bit of blue cheese formation. This cheese can mature for up to 3 months, so I'm only about a month into it, so it shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully we'll get a video out of this one. Overripe Camembert. This is my very first Camembert, and it looks fantastic and was going swimmingly. However, I didn't know that you had to wrap it when it got to about 2 weeks. So this is what it turned out like. It was quite wrinkly. However, when I cut into it, oh my goodness, look at all the goo. It was overripe, pungent, and smelled like ammonia. So make sure you keep your maturation to 4 weeks only. If you like this video, please support me on Patreon. Just click through and pledge your support for the videos that I make here on the cheese making channel. You can also check out a Bel Paese. It's a delicious cheese, and so is Monterey Jack. Nice and tart, but nice and easy and quick to make. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and see you next time. Oh, that helps, doesn't it? Sounds out. Yes, I am muted. Anyway, so you can see that that clip is... I'm crazy at my own technology. Um, the that clip shows that you don't always have successes when cheese making. Thanks, Kim. Yes, I'm back. And that, you know, I'm happy to show my failures as well as my successes. The if you haven't got any, hang on a minute. All right, there should be sound back now. It says the audio is going through the system. Sorry about that. I went to mute during the clip, and I forgot to turn it back on when I started. So hopefully, Kim said it's back and it's working, so that's good. So that just shows, that clip just shows that that, you know, all cheeses aren't successful every time. That's been a compilation of all the cheeses that I have made. Oh, since probably the very first failure was at Stilton, and then I would say regularly, probably once every 6 months maybe, I would get something that was quite disastrous. Now, notice that there was one video in there that was brie. Now, I have brie scheduled to be made. I've got to find some time to do it because we're teaching workshops for the next 3 weekends. So I'm going to fit that in there somewhere and bring you a large size brie, because the small bries that you see that are small like that in the supermarket, they're petite brie. They're not real size wheels of brie. The real size wheels of brie are about that round and about that thick. And that gives it a unique flavour as far as moisture content and all that goes. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is get back into the questions. Thanks for watching that. Hopefully that answers lots of people's questions. And Kep, thank you for the super chat there, mate. Back to... Oh, I've got to go back a little bit. Kep asks, I'll be using Farmer's Own pasteurised and unhomogenised milk. Do I still need to add calcium chloride? Yes, you do. It's the pasteurisation process that denatures some of the proteins in the milk, not the homogenization process. Homogenization process breaks up the fats, but it's pasteurization. If you're using any type of pasteurized milk, you will still need to use calcium chloride to add a bit more soluble calcium in, which helps the protein structure and the setting of the curd. So I hope that answers your question, Kep. Joseph says, do you sell any of your cheeses? No, I don't. I'm not licensed with Dairy Australia. I cannot manufacture cheeses for sale due to the law here in Australia. However, I do give away quite a few of my cheeses to family, friends, and to work colleagues. Well, they're friends too. So that often helps. Anyway, next question. We've got Malak has said, hello, I made cream cheese from powdered milk and it tastes like sweet milk. What can I do to this cheese to make it taste like real cream cheese? Not wanting to sound corny or anything, but use real milk. It's the protein structure of real milk, of whole milk, that gives you that flavour, as well as adding in. Usually for cream cheese, it's an aromatic mesophilic culture that gives you the real cream cheese taste. Okay, back down to where the questions are. Graham says, hi, Gavin. Can you use homogenised milk in the cheese making process? If not, where can you get a non-homogenised milk in Melbourne? Good question, Graham. Yes, I initially started off using homogenised milk. No problems at all. They do not give you the best quality cheese. So if you can pick up some non-homogenised milk, best place that I've found a regular and reliable source here in Australia anyway is in Woolworths, the supermarket, and they sell a brand called Farmer's Own, and it'll be from, I don't know, local dairy farms, I suppose. They're a conglomerate, so nothing's local as far as Woolies goes. It has I think it's an orange cap or something like that. But yeah, Farmer's Own, and that works really well. You still need to use calcium chloride, as I mentioned with Kep's question. Okay, Paul says, and how about beginning with cheeses? How long it was take to be a master of cheese? I want to make my own. Oh, sorry, I wants to start making them. I don't know how long it takes to be able to make my own provolone. Good question. It takes a while. I didn't tackle provolone until I was confident enough with stretch curd cheeses, and then I mucked it up anyway. I actually have a provolone taste test coming up this weekend from the small ball of provolone that we saw me make. And I also made another batch of provolone, the weekend after that. And that didn't turn out very well at all, but I kept it in the cheese fridge. I've packed that, and we'll see how that turns out on video. So tune in on Sunday morning Australian time and you'll get that, or Saturday afternoon in the States. Okay, Dustin says, I made a failed mozzarella, not enough rennet, I think. It was like ricotta in consistency, used in lasagna, didn't go to waste. That is a good pickup, and that's a good way to recover. Every cheese, if it fails, can be turned into ricotta. Whether the curd's set or not. Basically, if it just stays as milk, add add quarter of a cup of white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, and heat it up to 98 degrees Celsius first, which is 195 Fahrenheit roughly, and then add the acid, whether it be vinegar or citric acid or lemon juice, whatever. It'll curdle the milk, strain it off, it'll become ricotta, and away you go, or a form of ricotta. Not exactly ricotta in so far as using whey. Yeah, thanks, Rabbit Slayer. Go look up that provolone. Kim's put the link in. That's fantastic. Rudy says, have you been to America? What are some of the cheeses you'd like to try here? And if you haven't, I've been to as far as Hawaii. I know that's one of the states of the US, but it's not continental mainland Rudy. I would like to try Humboldt Fog. I think that's a cheese variety. Looks pretty gnarly and sounds pretty good. I'd like to try that. I'd like to go to Wisconsin and try some of the cheeses up there. I know they're famous for Colby. I know there's some age-ripened Colbys. I think Passchendaele is one variety of aged Colby. I'd like to try that. But there are a lot of artisan cheesemakers in the US, and I'd love to go on a bit of a traveling tour. Not only the US, but Canada. There's some fantastic cheesemakers in Canada and Mexico. In the North American area, but it'd take me years to travel around. It'd be a bit like a traveling Will Studd. I don't know, for those of you who don't know Will Studd, he's the guy that produces the TV show called Cheese Slices, which I think is up to season 8 now. It's available on iTunes if you want to go and have a look at that. Very good show, great production quality, and yeah, made for TV. But very good, very interesting. Get a lot of ideas from that show, actually, Cheese Slices. Okay. I'd like to go to Europe too and go on a bit of a cheese tour there. Probably wouldn't get far past the southern part of Europe, up in the north, but there's so much cheese. It's great. Anyway, Mickey D says, do you have any more cheese thermostats? Mine went haywire with digital readings like hieroglyphics. Oh, that's a bit strange. Yes, we do have some more. Just private message me, Mick, and we'll be right. GB says, Gavin, I'll probably never make cheese in my life, but I wanted to know your videos are awesome and very entertaining. I enjoy watching and I'm a big fan. Thanks, GB. Appreciate it, mate. Or lass or lady. But yeah, it's a labour of love, as you can see. Okay. Oh, that's a hard name to pronounce. Haynesetti. What type of cheese would you suggest for a beginner? You're the cheese king. I try to be. No crown, though. Yeah, look, Kim's she's got a video link for beginners cheese making. There's an Ask the Cheeseman segment that I did that wasn't live, and I go through all the cheeses you can make without a cheese cave. So yeah, Kim will pop the link in there. Kep says, I'll be making camembert and other hard cheeses. Would it be okay to lower the cheese cave temperature to 7 degrees for camembert while the other hard and semi-hard cheeses are maturing? Yes, no problems at all. It'll just slow down their growth a little bit. And once the 4 weeks of the camembert, has passed, because I think you only keep them at 2 weeks at 7 degrees, then you put them in the fridge when you've got them wrapped to slow it down even further so they don't go super runny like you saw in the video. Yeah, and then just put the temperature back up again, it'll be fine. Eduardo said, hi Gavin, I love your videos. What's the best cheese to have with red wine in your opinion? The harder, sharper cheeses. I tend to lean towards, and I can't drink it anymore because of the headache thing I had. I don't know how many of you know about that, but yeah, I had this headache condition, and although it's gone away, my lining of my brain is very sensitive, so I can't even drink red wine anymore, unfortunately. Certainly not heavy wine like Merlot or Shiraz or Beaujolais or anything like that, which I did enjoy. But the best cheese to have are the sharper ones, like a really aged cheddar, vintage cheddar, Romano. Even that's more of a grating cheese, but it does taste absolutely delectable with some of the stronger wines. Complements them very, very well. Enrique, I think. I don't know, is that Enrique? Yep, says, love your videos, keep it up. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Mbolo, you missed my question. Yes, I missed lots of questions. So I repeat, have you had luck ordering cultures off eBay or straight from Italy or France? We get them from a third party here in Australia. There's no cheese cultures made in Australia. Unfortunately, they're all imported. It doesn't matter who you ask. Most of them come from Europe. So they got to send them over here via air freight. When we ship all the cultures around, because we have a shop and we obviously ship starter cultures, they the manufacturing process puts I don't know. It's a buffer. You have a look in the specifications. It says it's able to be at room temperature for up to 14 days for transportation. But from experience, they're all freeze dried. Excuse me. They're all, oh, goodness me, I got a frog in my throat. They're all freeze dried, so they arrive with no problems whatsoever. We've had cultures shipped to the US. Somebody chose sea mail that's going via the ocean. So sea mail, it took 3 months to get there. The person didn't check. We tried to contact them, shipped it anyway. And the cultures were fine. They worked, no problems at all. We've had good reports back with good cheese. Okay, where are we up to? Malak from Love from Jordan. Thank you, mate. Where are we at? Kim. Oh, okay. Kim's got a question. I think she's answered already. Jamie says, hi, Gavin. I've never made cheese before and I really enjoy your videos. Where do you start? I don't know if Kim's put in that video link. Yeah, she has. If you go down to the chat at 8:23, she's got a link to the video there. Where am I up to? Michelle says, question with brie, do we have to unwrap and turn each day once wrapped? No. When it's wrapped, you can just turn it any time. Oh, every day. Just leave it wrapped. It's fine. So that's for those not familiar with the process, Camembert and brie, similar, very similar process. At about the 2 weeks mark, after it gets the fuzzy white bloom all over the surface of the cheese, you wrap it in a micro perforated wrap and put it into your normal refrigerator to slow the process down even further. And you just turn it in the normal fridge. You don't need to unwrap it. Don't unwrap it. The wrapping's there for a reason, to stop the bloomy white getting out of control and making your paste super runny. So yeah, and you didn't see the video. Go back and have a look at the archive of this when it's finished. Okay. SMF says there's traditional Limburger made at one place in Wisconsin. That'll be really nice. I know it's very smelly, but it does taste very, very good. I've never tasted Limburger. I haven't made it. I don't think Kim would let me have it in the cheese fridge. But anyway, Graham says, do you need a special refrigerator for the maturation process? Special refrigerator? No, you don't need a special refrigerator. I've just got a normal bar fridge. If Kim can pull up the video, there's a video on how I converted a bar fridge using an external thermostat. Very simple. Still use it to this day. It's perfect. I've never had any issues with it. It stays around 11 to 13 degrees Celsius, which is about 50 to 55 Fahrenheit, which is the perfect temperature for aging cheeses. Nothing special about it. Just bought it off Appliances Online, which is an online store here in Australia. Malak says, do you have a recipe to put in that cream cheese? Yes, there is a recipe for cream cheese. Just go back through the archive, or Kim can find it and pop it up there. Cream cheese is a basic cheese made with cow's milk, and Sherv is a cream cheese made with goat's milk. It's a little bit more tart. Michelle says, also, is it possible to wax too early? I've read conflicting web pages. Yeah, if the cheese is too moist, then you're going to trap moisture underneath the wax. Rule of thumb for everybody out there, when you're making a semi-hard or hard cheese and you want to wax it, the cheese should feel like a clammy handshake. Okay, so it doesn't have to be dry. Okay, it's got to feel like a clammy handshake, and that's when you wax the cheese. Okay, and that should solve everybody's problems. Where are we? What's my opinion on digital thermometers? Compared to normal dial thermometers, the analog ones, they're a lot more accurate. And especially if you're making a cheese for the first time, you really don't want too much variation in the temperature of the milk or the curds. for that matter. I think I do check. That's why I've got that thermopen that was given to me by a lovely lady called Anne, who lives near Seattle in Washington State. But yeah, the thermopen is good. I check what I do. I check the milk temperature with an analog and the digital, and then I adjust the analog one. There's a little nut on the back. You can use a spanner and just put it to the right setting, and then I check that, and then I usually use, for the video purposes anyway, the analog, and that works fine. Captain Spalding, top of the morning to you too. SMF, local cheesemonger, made 2 interesting camembert sandwich wheels. One was 2 camemberts with a blue in the middle. The other was 3 camemberts with a layer of apricot jam between them. Well, that would have tasted very nice. Captain Spalding says, I know that 55 is the prime target temperature for aging cheese, but can it be aged at a lower temperature? Yes, it can. It just slows down the bacterial development. Remembering that mesophilic and thermophilic starter cultures need a fairly high temperature to quickly convert the lactose in the milk into lactic acid, and that's one of the reasons. But they also need a temperature to break down. Those bacteria break down and they convert the fats into the flavoids that we know associated with the flavour of cheese. So if you cool it down too much, like 4 degrees Celsius, it slows down that breakdown of the mesophilic and thermophilic cultures after the cheese has been pressed. So yeah, don't put it down too much. Okay, let's get to, we've got Holmberg. I'm way behind here, sorry. Can you only find cheese making stuff online? Looking for stuff at Walmart and local stores. It's pretty hard. It's a specialty hobby. Unless your city has a cheese making shop, you may be plumb out of luck. Look, buying stuff online's fine. I had no issues. We have an online store, Kim and I do, and we ship all over Australia and internationally, and the cultures and stuff get there. In fact, we have, and dare I be cheeky to give it a bit of a plug, free shipping in Australia for orders over at or over $125 Australian. And we have 10% off for international orders. That'll appear in the checkout if you order from anywhere other than Australia. So look, getting stuff online is fine. You know what you need. Recipes will tell you specifically what culture you need. And you go from there. It's pretty hard to muck up. Okay, where are we up to? Jay, much appreciated from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Your video mishaps included. They're very informative. Thanks. I try not to be perfect. Enrique, what's the oldest cheese you have? Oh, I was going to do a clip, and Kim mentioned this the other day. I've got this little piece of gnarly Parmesan rind from a Parmesan that I made, oh God, it must be 4 years old. And that's sitting in the normal fridge in the cheese section. And every time we have a pasta or something like that, I whip it out, the cheese that is, and basically grate it with a very fine grater, and it makes this powdered Parmesan, which is streets ahead of any that powdered Parmesan rubbish you can buy in the supermarket. That's just in a plastic sachet with a green label on it. It starts with a K. So yeah, that's the oldest cheese I got in the moment in the fridge is 4 years old Parmesan. And Bolo says, I asked about eBay because here in Sweden, it's one company that sells it to people, but their stock is atrocious. I might find a supplier elsewhere. Well, we ship to Sweden, so we're a supplier. Being cheeky again. Averjalian. Greetings from Austin, Texas. Great channel, thanks. Kep says, I see you use a curd cutter or harp. Can I purchase one? And if so, where? It was actually manufactured for me as a gift by a friend in Canada, a guy called David, who's still kicking around. However, he doesn't sell them. It was a gift to me for all the cheese making videos that we produce. So that's why I use it, and it is amazing. But there are other tools out there. I've seen people use very fine wired baking racks, or they just get the frame of the baking rack, cut the wire out, and put in fishing wire, and that works just as well. You can pop that in your pot and spin it around. So there's some thoughts there you can make. If you go to Little Green Cheese, there we are, littlegreencheese.com, there's actually instructions on how to make that very same curd cutter. So yeah, pretty easy to make. There's instructions, everything. So go and check that out. Do a bit of a search for the curd cutter slant curd harp. Where are we? Stephen says, my mozzarella balls have just been placed into brine. After 8 attempts, I finally got everything working right. The pH was absolutely critical, and that was the solution. Yeah, definitely. Because they'll go slimy and soggy. Where are we? Kitty Cat says, I really need one of those large print thermo pens. The eyeballs do not work so good. Only place I've found them for sale, and well, they're not in Australia that I can find. Do a quick Google search. There are some laboratory supplies that do stock them. They're more for meat cooking, if anything, you put into your roast and that sort of stuff. They work equally as well for cheese making, though, kitty cats. I think best bet would be Amazon. Get it shipped. Find somebody who ships over to Australia, because I know you're over there in Perth. So, Stephen, my wife did not complain when she came home and found the cheese cave in the living room. Wine fridge, but she liked it. Yeah, I had mine in the kitchen for a while. It's been now relegated to the laundry where my cheese fridge is. But I put it in a special purpose area that had lots of ventilation around it so it didn't overheat. MJ from the UK, sorry you're late. Don't be sorry. Just enjoy the show. Kevin says, have you ever made a video on Comté? No, I've actually never tasted that cheese either. I'm a bit of a cheese version when it comes to some of these European cheeses, but I think it's pretty simple to make. So I'll have to pop that one on the list. We did actually see a slice available at our local supermarket that has a really good range of international cheeses. Roy says, g'day, Kim, g'day, Gavin, the legend. Thank you very much, mate. Mick says, Kim, oh, she's talking to Kim. He's talking to Kim. Sorry, mate. Last order came ahead of schedule again. Yeah, they're pretty good. Most stuff we're getting out pretty quick as far as orders go. Mick said, did you get my last? I haven't checked my email this morning. Sorry, Mick. I'll check it out as well. Oh, I'm nearly up to the bottom. How good's that? Mbolo says, oh, I see, never realised you're a supplier. Yes, we are as well. And the reason we're a supplier is because when I first started making videos, we weren't way back then, people kept asking me, where can we buy this stuff? And I logically put 2 and 2 together and saw a business opportunity, and we started supplying, and people, well, they trust us because we provide free information for all home cheese makers, and you know we sell that the supplies, the cultures, the kits like you can see at the back there, the Mad Millie ones. We also sell another kit, probably one of the better kits is Green Living Australia. We sell those as well, so we keep a good stock of those. Okay, Mr. Chup and Chup, do you have a favourite German cheese? I'd have to say I'm quite partial to Butterkäse. I really do like that, the simplicity of that cheese, and the flavour is just exceptional. A very, very nice cheese. And there is I don't know if Kim's got a link somewhere, but she will find it for the Butterkäse video. So that's one of my favourite German cheeses. And Tilsit, which is made in Germany and Switzerland. So that is quite an amazing German cheese as well. Rabbit Slayer said, maybe I could make some curd harps and send them to Gavin. If you're mechanically inclined, I would happy to take curd harps wholesale and give you a fair price and sell them in our shop. That'd be great. So there's a business opportunity for you, Rabbit Slayer. Kep says thermopens are sold in Australia. Just bought one off eBay. Oh, well done. Excellent. Yes, they're good little units. What's Kim saying here? Something about, I must have missed the question. When the clocks change in October, it's a couple of months away. Yeah, it'll be around 9 p.m. in the UK. Yes, it will be. Because we go to daylight savings and they come off daylight savings. So Europe will get the show at this time in the morning. Michelle, the clammy handshake on a hard cheese has me confused because it feels like that after about 4 days at the moment in winter. But on top, it's still quite light in colour and seems to be too early. Look, as long as there's not moisture dripping off there, Michelle, and you've got way underneath your drying rack, the clammy handshake is the ideal time because after that, you'll start to get bacteria growth on the surface of the cheese, and that's what you're trying to avoid. You may have to give it a saltwater brine and then pat it down with paper towel or a lint-free cloth. Otherwise, because yeah, it's definitely the right time. About 4 days, 5 days, and then I wax it. Depending on the temperature in summer, when it's warmer, it dries out a lot quicker. You're lucky if you let it sit there for a day. If it's dry, if it's more humid, then it's going to take a while to dry out. Jeff has said, have you ever combined recipes to make a hybrid cheese, maybe like a cheddar with blue mold vein or other combination? Good question, Jeff. Yes, I have. By mistake, actually. I made a farmhouse cheddar, and it's actually in my cheese making book, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, and the link's down in the description there somewhere at the top, and I think somebody purchased one just before. There's a recipe for farmhouse cheddar blue. So I made a farmhouse cheddar. I actually kept it in the normal fridge after it had been ripened, next to a blue cheese that I that had ripened, and it somehow got infected. And because it was quite, how do I say, it had cracks in it in the surface of the cheese, the Penicillium Roqueforti managed to get way down in the cracks and into the middle of the cheese. And I tell you what, it was amazing. It was a great, more of a serendipitous mistake than anything else. But certainly you can add Penicillium Roqueforti to your favourite farmhouse cheddar or cheddar cheese. Pierce some holes in it after it's touch dry. Let it sit for a couple more days for that blue mold to start to develop. And then you can wax it. And you'll get some blue cheese flavour through your cheddar. It won't actually make it soft, the soft paste or anything like that, but it certainly does work. Mick says, I think I've found a pot stirrer motor, Gav. It pushes 25 kilos in variable speed, just working on the frame and the blade, send pics when it's done. That'd be great, Mick. What I'll do is, when you do that, I'll put the pictures on the next live stream, or the next one after you send the pictures, and show everybody your ingenuity. That'd be pretty cool. Michelle, thanks for asking my question. You're welcome. That's what the show's about. MJ says, I don't mind the late shows myself. I'm up quite late. Enrique says, do you have any kids? Yeah, they're all grown up, unfortunately. Oh, not unfortunately. Kids grow up, don't they? And that's what happens. Yes, we do have kids. I've got one living in Germany who has children of his own. I've got two living here in Melbourne, and I've got another one living at home who's not quite 18 yet, not quite ready to fly the nest. Yeah, I think that's the way to say it. But yeah. Mick says, your recipe on Boudica's goes fabulous cheese, cut on the weekend, and it's now no longer in existence. That's what happens to good cheese, Mick. Yeah, it is. I was astounded. It was actually a mashup of two Boudica's recipes that I found, because I wasn't happy with the one that was in the book that I found. So, yeah, no, it was really good. Captain Spotting, Miss Kim. That's Mrs. Kim. She's married to me. Thank you for filtering out the rubbish, and thank you for asking my question. God bless. Have a great day. Thank you, Captain Spaulding. Have you ever tried Emmentaler? It's a very popular cheese here in Germany. Yes, there is actually a video, Mr. Chuppa Chup, that I made on Emmentaler. And Kim will have the link there somewhere, I would say, when she pops it in there. Max said, what is the worst cheese that I've ever made, as in tasted or most difficult to make? Let me know and I'll answer that. Kep says, can you air dry cheese when temperatures are colder? Cannot air dry them inside, must be a shed. Do you just leave it longer? Yes, yeah, basically, Kep, if that's the case, then that's what you're going to have to do. Leave it longer until you get the clammy handshake feel, and then just wax or vacuum pack or whatever your preference is. If it's a natural rind cheese, may I recommend that you use a maturation box, because you need the humidity up a little bit higher so the surface doesn't crack. Okay, SFM says, we were at a fair this weekend, picked up some sheep's milk, thinking of making cheese, yet I have no plan. Obviously need to make it soon. Any suggestions? I'm a novice. Yeah, there's a couple of really good sheep's milk cheeses that you could adapt using my the cow's milk ones I've got. Try Romano, because real Romano is made with sheep's milk, or Pecorino Romano. And Manchego. There is a Manchego video recipe. So go check out those two. Do it quick, because the milk, if you're using raw milk and it hasn't been pasteurized, is starting to acidify as we speak. And that will make it difficult to make cheese from. So get in quick, do it today. Dustin, I almost forgot, last week we talked about a smoked Gouda, and mine turned out pretty good after a week in backpack. Will probably be fine, but I want to wait. Fantastic effort. Did you cold smoke it? Is that what you did there? Or did you use a liquid smoke like I did when I used my smoke flavoured Gouda version? Stephen says, Gavin, do not forget how important the books are behind you. Looking closely to your videos, I've ordered most of those books. They help me very much. Yeah, definitely. The books are great. And that's where I have learnt a lot, including writing my own recipes and book, which Kim has put there, the link, just above your comment, Keep Calm and Make Cheese. Yeah, look, the books are great, but they don't give you experience. You know, knowledge is great, but experience is better, and that's how you become wise, apparently. So by doing, so you can read all the books in the world and still not be able to apply the practical knowledge. You've got to do it. As Arnie would say, just do it. So get into your cheese. I hope your son brings you cheese home from Germany. He doesn't visit very often. He's coming here in Christmas. He'd be lucky to get it through quarantine, unfortunately. His favourite is Old Amsterdam. Obviously, that's a Dutch cheese. So, yeah, he doesn't... Well, he does like German cheeses, but he prefers Old Amsterdam for some reason. Apparently, it's a really good cheese. Can't get it here in Australia. I think it's a raw milk cheese. Anyway, Mr. Chuppa Chup, would you like to try Casu Marzu? No, I wouldn't, because it's got maggots in it. There we go. Dustin, yes, cold smoke. Yes, fantastic. I would, as the weather warms up here, I'm going to give cold smoking a try. Just got to find some time. It's obviously of the essence, especially for getting out one video or one cheese making video, whether it be a taste test or a recipe each week. It's proving to be quite challenging at the moment with so many courses going on weekends, and seeing I have a day job as well. Wednesdays is my day off, lifestyle day, and I pay to take this day off. But yeah, Wednesdays we do the live stream and we do a whole bunch of other stuff around the place, like restock in the store and all those sorts of things. Anyway, so Mickey D said he put some chipolata powder into my last ricotta, and boy, that lifted the flavour. Yeah, ricotta's pretty bland sort of stuff, so yeah, Mick, it's a good idea. Nice Arnie. Oh, you like that Arnie impression? Thanks, kitty cats. I can do better ones. The Rabbit Slayer said, "Have you bought the book? Oh, sorry. Have you thought about making an ebook copy of your Keep Calm and Make Cheese book?" Yes, there is. There is an ebook version. In fact, that was the first version. I didn't go to a print version until about 3 years after. So there is an ebook version. Kim should have it there somewhere. It's in the shop. Check out the ebook version. In fact, I think it's 10% off for international buyers. So get into that. Kim, if you're still there, can you put the ebook link to Keep Calm and to Make Cheese, please? Yes, there are some awesome cheeses in Europe. In fact, Charles de Gaulle once said, "How can you govern a country where there are over 250 different types of cheeses?" And I think he was referring to France, but in the UK, there's been a fantastic resurgence of artisan cheesemakers and all their old sorts of recipes. Kim and I were watching an episode of Will Studd's Cheese Slices the other day, talking about Neil's Dairy. Neil's Dairy. It's a shop in London, and the guy who runs it, oh, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name. Started with an R. And Randolph, I think. Yeah, Randolph. And he has promoted all of the old varieties of cheese and made a demand for them. So all of the artisan cheesemakers, all the ones that were left or still alive anyway, started teaching other people how to make, things like a good Wensleydale, Leicestershire, Cheshire, Cheddars, Gloucesters, Lancashires, all those sorts of cheese varieties in the UK have all now come back into life. So it's an amazing thing that one guy with a passion who opened up a cheese shop or a cheesemonger in London, he's got a few shops now, Neil's Dairy Yard, I think it's called, and it is one of the most famous cheesemongers in the UK. There you go. There's a bit of history there, stuff I've learnt. Anyway, Roy says, "Gavin, just wondering on your thoughts. When I buy Geotrichum candidum, £18 for 2 grams, my goodness, it is to inoculate 1,000 litres. A smidgen seems quite a lot. Yes, take it down to 1/64th of a teaspoon. I've learnt since that you only need a pinch. I think it's a pinch, which is 1/64th of a teaspoon. If you use the mini measuring spoons that you can find everywhere, we sell them. It's the smallest teaspoon. That's all you need for Geotrichum to start creating those wrinkly lines on the outside of your bloomy rind cheese. It also helps with a skin slip, which is a good thing as well. Okay, Neil's Yard Dairy. Oh, okay. Sorry, I got the name wrong. Thanks, Kim. Covent Garden, yes, great place. And Rabbit Slayer. Yes, there is a Kindle version. There's also a PDF version. So Kindle version, you can buy it from Amazon. You can also buy it in the iBook store on iTunes. So for Apple devices as well. I can't get it on the Google Play Store for some reason. I don't know how many times I've tried to set up an account there. For some reason I can't figure it out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Buy the PDF. That works on the Kindle and iPad and all that stuff. And you can print it out because when you got your paper recipe next to it, it works. Plus we print them and ship them all over the world. Anyway, so I just looked at the time. I've been waffling on for ages. It's 5 minutes to go before the end of the show. So just a shout out to a few things. Sorry, Kep's got another question. Using cheesecloth bought from a haberdashery, is this cheesecloth okay to use? Kep, only if it's tight weave cloth. which will be like a linen, really fine weave. That works. I found that a lot of the cheesecloths in shops like Bargain Box and stuff like that, or what's the other one, Lincraft, all those sorts of shops here in Australia that sell material, the weave of the cheesecloth is not tight enough. The proper loose weave cheesecloth, it's too loose, if that makes sense, and the curds usually go through the colander, through the cloth, and down the sink. We sell a proper grade cheesecloth, which you can find at most cheese making shops anyway. Most expensive cheese I've ever made. I made a fully organic Parmesan once. And the good thing is that, sorry, the bad thing was what made it so expensive. I had to skim the cream off because Parmesan's only made with 2% fat milk. But we did use the cream. That was fine. I used that in a Stilton the week after. But that was very expensive using organic biodynamic milk. So, yeah, bit ordinary. Anyway, let's eBook book. I can see it's on my phone. Look, see, it says paper. Oh, is it there? Oh, look. Look at all the orders. How cool's that? I appreciate that. Thank you, Rabbit Slayer. So, yeah, 4 minutes before the end of the show, just a few things. People always ask me, how do they support me? Well, you can support me via Super Chat. I get those proceeds. YouTube takes a little bit of a cut, but that's process payment. But Super Chat's pretty cool. I do appreciate any donations that you shoot my way to keep the show going. Keeps me motivated to getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning on my day off. Sorry, earlier on my day off. Bit of a struggle sometimes. And thank you, Dustin. What in bloomy cheeses do you eat the bloom? Yes, you do. Eat the white bit. It's lovely. It's very nice. It makes it delicious. Can you make cheese with kangaroo milk? There's not very much milk from kangaroos, and I don't think there's a dairy that milks them. They jump around too much. So, yeah, you can support me via Patreon. Kim's got all the links coming up in a second. They're also in the video description down below. You can pledge support as little as $1 US down to, sorry, it's for a monthly pledge. You can cancel it at any time. It helps with equipment, hosting fees, all that sort of stuff, because the gear to make these shows is not cheap. And that helps out. Also, Super Chats, as you can see there, one from Dustin, which is fantastic, which we appreciate. And that helps. Every little bit helps there as well, because YouTube ads are not as prevalent on this channel as I would like them to be. And YouTube ads actually pay for a lot of the stuff that we do here as well. What else? What else we got? Don't forget, yeah, some people have already bought the book, which is fantastic. It's a great little book, if I do say so myself. I'm working on a second one. I'm only up to chapter 2, unfortunately. I'm trying to do it in spare time that I have, and we'll get that all going. And other things, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and there's a little bell. I don't know where the subscribe button is. It's around there somewhere. There's a little bell that helps you, that you can be notified of when the shows go live. There's been a lot of people on the chat after the show saying we missed it. You actually get a reminder of when the show goes live in your Chrome browser or Firefox or what have you. It all seems to work. And you get a reminder, or you get a reminder via email. I get a reminder at email as soon as I hit the start streaming button on the software here that I'm using. And I think that's about it. If anybody would like to pick up supplies and stuff, don't forget littlegreenworkshops.com.au. There's a link from littlegreencheese.com as well. If you want to go to cheese making kits, you can see all that there. We ship all over Australia. And as I said, we ship for free if your order is over $125 Australian, which is pretty easy to do because a lot of cheese kits are over $100. But they have everything in them. All you need to do is add the milk, which is fantastic. Okay, we'll finish up now, but thank you very much for watching, everybody. Appreciate all your questions. It's your questions that make the show every week, and keep it rolling. But thank you so much for everything that you bring to the show. Like I said, without it, without you guys turning up every week after week, then there would be no show. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds.
Well, g'day, curd nerds.
Well, g'day, curd nerds.
Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds.